Imagine this. A massive explosion rocks Doha, the capital of Qatar. The target? The absolute top leadership of Hamas. This was an attack that, by all logic, should never have happened. So let's peel back the layers here and figure out how a strike this audacious was pulled off in the heart of one of America's most protected allies.
And that right there, that's the big question, isn't it? It's not just about what happened, but how. I mean, how on earth do fighter jets travel 1,800 kilometers, completely unchallenged, to hit a target in a country that's supposed to be under a full-blown American security umbrella? Let's start at the very beginning, on the ground.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in Qatar's capital. You've got this super high-stakes meeting happening. Hamas leaders are all gathering to talk about a new truce deal. But they know they're a target, so they've taken some serious precautions.
So the leaders were being smart, or so they thought. They head up to the second floor for the actual meeting, but, and this is key, they leave all their cell phones behind with their aides down on the first floor. It's a classic counter-surveillance move, right? Keep the electronics away from the real conversation. And among those aides was the son of Hamas leader Khalil al-Hayya.
And then boom, the strike hits. But get this, it is surgically precise. The Israeli jets don't just flatten the whole building. Nope, they target the first floor, exactly where the phones and the aides were.
In the moments after, it was total chaos. But here's what we know for sure. The aides on the first floor were killed. Now, Hamas put out a statement really quickly, saying their key leaders upstairs were injured but alive. So for our purposes here, we're just going to go with that official Hamas account. But honestly, that outcome only makes this whole puzzle even weirder.
And this is where things get really, really strange. We're talking about what I'm calling the Qatar paradox. See, an attack like this in Doha shouldn't just be difficult. It should be basically impossible. And the reason why? Well, it all comes down to one single mind-blowing number.
100%.
What does that number mean? Well, that's the estimated ability of the American al-Udeid Air Base to completely lock down every single inch of Qatar's airspace. It's not 90%, not 99%, it's 100. Total coverage, a digital fortress in the sky.
And look, this is why it's a paradox. Qatar isn't just some random country with a U.S. base. They are a designated major non-NATO ally. They host the largest, most important American base in the entire Middle East. We've even seen this protection in action before. During an Iranian missile attack, the U.S. system there acted like a shield, knocking missiles out of the sky. So, what happened this time?
Okay, so if Qatar's airspace is basically a fortress guarded by the U.S. military, how in the world did this happen? To figure that out, we've got to follow the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, it's the question on everyone's mind. If you have 100% capability to stop something, why didn't you? And the answer? Well, it's a bombshell, and it comes straight from the Qatari government itself.
Just let that quote sink in for a second. The Qataris are saying the U.S. did tell them about the attack as it was happening. That's not a warning, right? That's just an FYI while the bombs are dropping. It means the U.S. military from its massive base inside Qatar watched Israeli jets enter the airspace and did absolutely nothing.
Okay, so the U.S. essentially stood down and let it happen. But that still doesn't explain the logistics. This wasn't a quick hop over the border. We're talking about a serious journey.
I want you to picture this. This mission covered 1,800 kilometers. That's a long haul for a fighter jet, which means they needed in-flight refueling. So now you have these big, slow, clumsy tanker planes flying right alongside the fast jets. This whole party would have lit up radar screens across the region like a Christmas tree. This was anything but a stealth mission, which makes you wonder. So you have to ask, right? If the only goal was to hit one floor of one building, Israel has ballistic missiles that could do that. It would have been way simpler, way less provocative. So why send a whole fleet of jets on this incredibly risky and visible journey? Because the choice of weapon is the message. See, if they'd used a ballistic missile, other countries could have claimed, "Oh, we didn't see it," or "We tried to stop it." There's plausible deniability. But fighter jets? No way. They have to physically fly through your sovereign airspace. You can't pretend you didn't see them. Choosing jets was a deliberate power move. This wasn't just a strike, it was a statement.
So what was that statement exactly? What was the message? Well, this whole elaborate, high-risk operation seems to have had two very clear and very loud objectives.
Objective number one was a direct ultimatum to Hamas.
take the deal we're offering, or we can take out your entire leadership one by one. But the second message, man, that one was for everybody else in the neighborhood. And it was simple. We can get to you, anywhere, anytime, and your powerful friends won't stop us.
And look, Israel has a history of, let's call it, testing the boundaries of other countries. But the results have been very different. In Turkey, they tried to set up a Mossad hit squad, and Turkish intelligence rolled them up and arrested them. Plot foiled. In Egypt, 2 Israeli cargo planes flew towards their airspace without permission, and the Egyptians basically said, turn around now or we will shoot you down. And you know what? They turned around. And then there's Qatar. The jets come in, they hit their target, and they fly home. Crickets.
So where does this leave Qatar? I mean, talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place. They've just been attacked on their own soil, and their biggest ally, their supposed protector, just watched it happen.
So what can they even do? Let's run through the playbook. Military retaliation against Israel? Not happening. Kick the U.S. military out of that massive base? Not a realistic option. Cut diplomatic ties with Washington? Highly unlikely. So what's left? They release a statement. The classic, we reserve the right to respond, which, let's be honest, is political code for we can't really do anything right now.
At the end of the day, you have to imagine this just feels like a massive betrayal from Qatar's perspective. The very country they host and pay to guarantee their security just stood by and let this attack go down. The U.S. essentially decided that one ally's agenda was more important than protecting another ally's home turf.
And that's where I want to leave you, because when your greatest protector becomes a passive bystander to an attack on your country, everything changes. It forces you to rethink everything: your security, your friendships, your place in the world. It's like a game of chess where you've been put in checkmate and there are no good moves left. So, I'll ask you directly, if you were in Qatar's shoes, what would you do?